Joe sat at the kitchen table, staring into his coffee. He had already downed 2 cups, but his eyelids still felt heavy. His thoughts were slow, like walking through fog. He picked up a newspaper, read the same sentence 3 times, and still couldn't remember what it said. At 67, Joe wasn't sick, but he wasn't well either. He was stuck, tired every morning, forgetful, easily winded on walks. And though he wouldn't say it out loud, he felt something deeper, like his spark was fading. Most people told him it was normal. "That's just aging," they'd say. But Joe had a feeling his body wasn't giving up. He just wasn't giving it what it needed to function. He was right. And what changed his mornings wasn't a new medication, a gym membership, or a memory supplement. It was 3 simple fruits, not blended, not juiced, eaten whole, eaten first, eaten on an empty stomach. Within 10 days, Joe started noticing changes. He felt lighter in his chest, clearer in his head, more present in conversations, and yes, he even noticed a shift in his male energy, that quiet current that too often dims after 60. Here's what most men don't know. Your first 10 minutes after waking set the tone for your blood flow, brain function, and hormonal activity for the rest of the day. What you eat first tells your body what kind of day it's going to have. And if you're starting with toast, bacon, or just black coffee, you might be blocking the very systems you're trying to boost. Fruits, when chosen wisely and eaten on an empty stomach, act like a morning signal to your brain, heart, and hormones. Wake up, flow, heal, building. In this video, we'll reveal the 3 specific fruits that activate circulation, memory, and energy after 60. Why they must be eaten before anything else, real stories of older men who made this one change and felt the difference in under 2 weeks. What common breakfast mistakes are silently draining your vitality? No pills, no fads, just natural, accessible food that supports the system's aging, quietly pulls apart. You may not be able to stop the clock, but you can change how you feel in the morning, starting with your first bite. Joe's mornings had followed the same routine for over a decade. Wake up, sit in silence, drink coffee, stare out the window, wait for his body to wake up. Sometimes it took hours. He tried walking more. He tried going to bed earlier. Nothing helped. His wife, Carol, started noticing too. "You seem slow in the mornings," she said gently one day. Joe nodded, but inside he felt something deeper, like his body was slowing down from the inside out. At his last checkup, his doctor mentioned his blood pressure was creeping up, his circulation was weakening, and his memory tests weren't what they used to be. "It's nothing serious," the doctor said, "just age." But that didn't sit right with Joe. That same week, he met an old friend for coffee. The friend looked surprisingly energized, more than Joe remembered. When he asked what changed, the friend said something simple. "I start my day with fruit," before anything else. Changed everything. Joe laughed at first. Fruit? But the next morning, curiosity got the better of him. He went to the kitchen, skipped the coffee, and ate a full banana and a handful of blueberries. That was it. No toast, no eggs, just fruit. He expected nothing. But 30 minutes later, he felt lighter. His chest felt open, his head clearer. The usual heaviness in his legs was gone. He thought it was a fluke. But he repeated it the next day, and the next. By the 5th day, something had shifted. He was waking up with energy, not searching for it. His bowel movements were smoother. His afternoon slumps became shorter. And Carol started noticing changes in how he spoke, how he stood, how he smiled. "You look like you again," she said. But the most surprising change came a week later. One evening, as they were getting ready for bed, Carol turned to him and said, "You touched my back this morning when I walked past." "You haven't done that in months," Joe smiled. "I didn't even realize I did that." That was the real effect, not just more energy or sharper memory. It was the return of presence, of subtle confidence, of connection. And all he had done was change what he put in his mouth first thing in the morning. 3 fruits, empty stomach, every day. What really happens after 60? Blood flow, brain fog, and the power of first food. After 60, the body doesn't break down overnight. It changes slowly, subtly, until one day you realize you're tired when you wake up. You forget why you walked into a room. You don't feel that inner spark you used to have. These aren't just signs of aging. They're signs of what your body is missing first thing in the morning. Here's what really happens after 60, and why your first food matters more than ever. 1. Blood flow slows down. As you age, your arteries lose elasticity. The vessels that once carried oxygen-rich blood quickly and efficiently begin to narrow and stiffen. This means less blood reaches your muscles, your brain, your heart, and yes, your reproductive organs. When blood flow slows, so does everything else. Energy, cognition, libido, recovery. Your body is still capable, but it's moving through thicker, slower traffic, and your first food in the morning determines whether your blood flows freely or clogs further. 2. Morning hormones. Flattened testosterone and other key hormones peak in the early morning, but only if your system is ready to absorb and circulate them. If you spike your cortisol with caffeine or overload your digestion with processed breakfast foods, that hormonal signal is blunted. Result: less motivation, less clarity, less physical drive. But if you gently feed your system with hydration, fiber, antioxidants, your hormones get the message: it's safe to activate. 3. Brain fog isn't random. The brain consumes 20% of your body's energy, but it doesn't store fuel. Every morning, it relies on glucose, oxygen, and micronutrients to boot up. Processed carbs like toast or pastries give you a spike and crash. But fruit? The natural sugars paired with fiber and polyphenols give your brain a steady release of clean energy. That's why people who eat fruit on an empty stomach often say, "I feel sharper, I can think faster." The fog is gone. 4. Digestion needs a gentle start. After a night of fasting, your digestive system is delicate. Heavy, greasy, or processed foods first thing in the morning force your gut into overdrive. Fruits, on the other hand, are rich in enzymes, fiber, and water, making them the perfect starter for your metabolism. They help move the bowels, reduce inflammation, and prime the body to absorb nutrients throughout the day. Why empty stomach matters. When you eat fruit after toast, coffee, or eggs, its benefits are delayed or even blocked. Fermentation, gas, sluggish absorption. But when you eat it first on an empty stomach, your body absorbs the nutrients quickly and cleanly. No interference, no bloating. Think of it as fuel before fire. You don't throw logs onto a cold fire. You spark it with something light, bright, and easy to burn. That's what fruit does. And after 60, you need every system in your body to get that spark early. The 3 fruits that activate blood, brain, and energy after 60, they work on specific systems that begin to weaken with age: circulation, cognitive function, hormonal balance, digestive performance. Below are 3 scientifically supported fruits that, when eaten on an empty stomach, can help restore vitality in older men. Let's break them down. 1. Pomegranate, the blood flow booster. This deep red fruit has been used for centuries in traditional medicine, and modern research confirms why. Pomegranate is packed with nitrates, antioxidants, and polyphenols, which improve endothelial function, the inner lining of blood vessels, reduce arterial stiffness, support nitric oxide production, a key for blood vessel dilation. Studies show that daily pomegranate intake can lower blood pressure, improve blood circulation to the brain and heart, enhance erectile function in older men. How to eat it? Fresh seeds are best. Half a pomegranate or a handful of seeds first thing in the morning. Don't juice it. You'll lose the fiber and blood sugar stability. 2. Blueberries, the brain protector. Small but mighty, blueberries are loaded with anthocyanins, which have a direct impact on brain health and memory. Research from Harvard and other institutions shows that regular blueberry consumption improves memory recall, slows age-related cognitive decline, enhances verbal learning and attention span. They also reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in the brain, two major culprits in age-related mental fog. How to eat them? Eat a handful, 1/2 cup, of fresh or frozen blueberries on an empty stomach. Best combined with water and a few deep breaths to activate digestion. 3. Banana, the mood and energy stabilizer. Often overlooked, bananas are a powerhouse of potassium, magnesium, vitamin B6, and dopamine precursors. What they do: support heart health and muscle function, help regulate blood pressure, provide natural energy and elevate mood, calm the nervous system. Bananas also contain resistant starch, which feeds gut-friendly bacteria, critical for overall vitality and hormone regulation. How to eat them? 1 medium banana, ideally ripe, with some brown spots, eaten slowly and mindfully. Pair with water, not coffee, to avoid digestive stress. How to combine them? This trio creates the perfect morning protocol. Pomegranate opens blood flow, blueberries sharpens brain, banana grounds the body and mind. You can rotate them or eat them all together in a small fruit bowl. Just make sure they're the first thing you consume before toast, eggs, or even coffee. The goal isn't just nutrients, it's the sequence. You're telling your body, today we start with life, with color, with movement. And that message carries through every cell for the rest of your day. The confidence boost: how Henry got his energy and intimacy back. After changing his breakfast, Henry had never considered fruit to be anything more than a side dish. At 70, his mornings were simple: toast, black coffee, sometimes a hard-boiled egg. He was retired, active enough, and still deeply in love with his wife, Margaret. But something was off. "I didn't feel like myself anymore," he admitted. Not sick, not depressed, just less focused, less motivated, less connected to his own body. What bothered him most wasn't the memory slips or afternoon yawns. It was the distance growing between him and Margaret, especially in the bedroom. They still loved each other, still laughed. But touch had become rare, spontaneity gone. And the energy, the quiet male drive that once helped him feel confident, present, alive, had faded. One evening, after reading about natural ways to improve circulation and hormone function, Henry came across an article titled, "Start with Fruit, the Morning Habit That Reverses Male Decline." He wasn't convinced, but the simplicity caught his attention. 3 fruits, empty stomach every day. He could do that. Henry's protocol. Half a pomegranate, or seeds in a bowl, a handful of blueberries, 1 ripe banana, a glass of water, no coffee for the first hour. He started the next morning. It felt odd. No toast, no bitter kick from caffeine. But by day 4, something shifted. He noticed he didn't need to sit down after his shower. He walked up the stairs with less effort, and that familiar fog in his mind. It began to lift. Margaret noticed too. "You're humming again in the morning," she said, smiling. Henry hadn't realized it, but he was. 2 weeks in, the real test came. They were watching a movie late at night when Margaret leaned her head on his shoulder. And instead of feeling tired or distant, Henry felt something return: warmth, desire, energy. He placed his hand on hers and she looked up, surprised and soft-eyed. That night, they held each other longer than they had in months. Henry didn't take a new supplement, he didn't join a gym, he didn't follow some complicated diet. He just started feeding his body and brain the right signal first thing in the morning. And the result wasn't just physical, it was emotional, relational. The kind of change that reminds a man who he still is. Part 6. What gets in the way? Myths, mistakes, and how to build the habit. By now, the benefits are clear. Better blood flow, sharper mind, steadier energy, stronger male vitality. So why don't more people, especially men over 60, start their day with fruit? The answer isn't lack of knowledge. It's habit, myth, and misunderstanding. Myth 1. Fruit has too much sugar. This is one of the most damaging half-truths. Yes, fruit contains sugar, but it's natural, unprocessed, and bound with fiber. That fiber slows the absorption, stabilizes blood sugar, and supports gut health. Refined carbs like toast or cereal spike insulin. Fruit? It fuels the brain, hydrates the body, and activates gentle digestion. What's dangerous isn't fruit. It's eating processed food instead of fruit. Myth 2. I need something heavier in the morning. Heavier doesn't mean better. Your digestive system has been resting all night. Overloading it first thing with meat, butter, or bread puts it into stress mode. Fruit wakes the body gently and effectively, setting the stage for better digestion the rest of the day. You can still eat eggs or toast just after the fruit has had 20 to 30 minutes to do its job. Myth 3. It won't make a difference at my age. This belief is the real enemy. It's not about becoming 25 again. It's about feeling clearer, lighter, stronger today. Even a slight improvement in circulation, brain function, and hormonal rhythm can mean a sharper conversation, a stronger walk, a deeper moment of connection. Never underestimate the power of small, consistent choices. Common mistakes. Eating fruit with other foods, especially dairy or heavy carbs, slows absorption, creates bloating juicing instead of chewing, removes fiber, spikes blood sugar. Eating too late in the morning delays the hormonal signal your body needs. Thinking quantity is more important than timing. Even just 1 to 2 fruits, first thing, can shift everything. How to make it a habit. Prepare the night before. Rinse fruit, set it in a bowl on the counter. Place water next to your bed. Hydrate immediately upon waking. Delay coffee by 30 minutes. Let your body wake up naturally first. Commit to 3 days only. Most people feel a difference by day 3 and want to keep going. Remember, you're not just feeding your stomach, you're feeding your circulatory system, brain, and masculinity. Joe didn't believe it until he tried. Henry didn't expect anything and got everything back. And all they did was change how their morning began. Let's go back to that first image of Joe, sitting at his kitchen table, bleary-eyed, depending on coffee to jumpstart a day he didn't feel ready for. Now, picture him 2 weeks later. Same kitchen, same table. But this time, there's a bowl of fresh fruit beside his glass of water. His shoulders are straighter, his eyes brighter. He doesn't need to force a smile, it's just there. What changed? Not his age, not his medications, just his first decision of the day. And that one choice, what to eat first, became the domino that shifted everything. More clarity, more presence, more strength. Even Carol saw it, even Joe felt it. And it's not just Joe. Henry felt his spark return. He held his wife's hand longer, slept better, laughed more. Because instead of dragging himself through the morning, he started feeding his body a signal of life. 3 fruits, that's all. Not a trend, not a supplement stack, just real food with real power when used at the right time. If you're over 60 and feeling slower, heavier, or more distant from yourself, don't wait for a wake-up call. Make one small shift tomorrow morning. Choose half a pomegranate, a handful of blueberries, 1 ripe banana, a glass of water, 10 minutes of quiet presence. Then sit with yourself, breathe, and let your body say, thank you. You don't have to feel like a younger man. You just have to feel like yourself again. And that starts not with a pill or a plan, but with what you eat when the world is still quiet. What's your current breakfast routine? Have you tried fruit first thing in the morning and noticed a difference? Share your experience in the comments. And if this video gave you something to think about, subscribe to Longevity Talks for more simple, powerful ways to feel strong, clear, and connected after 60.